Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and KWBY, and again on Saturday morning at 9 on KATX and KWBY as Angela Robinson joins Terry Slavens to share important financial information to help you live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, estate and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
And welcome in to Life Planning 101 right here on KATX, KWBY. Terry Slavens with you and joined, as always, by Angela Kennedy Robinson. Good morning, Angela.
Good Monday morning, and you have got a mouthful today, or you're going to get an earful today. I'm going to give you a mouthful, I guess. You know, I think there are people that just listen to the show to see how many sayings I can mess up in 1 week, and, it's just kind of my MO. But no, it's a really great show. I'm really excited. I was sitting down with a lady last week and her husband, and we were talking about, what we call living legal documents that you need when you're not dead. There's still documents that you need in case something happens. And, she was talking about the fact that she was trying to get something done with the FSA, and they're in a partnership with the mother that's in a nursing home, probably can't even sign her name. And the FSA won't accept the mother's durable power of attorney. Kid you not. FSA. So this is part of our government, right? Part of the USDA, technically, right? All these programs to be able to help and support farmers and ranchers. And I said, really? I said, I'm not surprised by this because we've been talking about this a long time, and we're learning more and more and more that if you are tied to a government entity in any way or fashion, and you have money coming from that government program or from that government entity, that they're most likely not going to accept your durable power of attorney. And so I've got two charges for people today. Number one, we're going to get educated, okay? Number two, write your senator, your congressman, your representative, write them and let them know this is an issue, because I think people are finding out too little too late. And just like in this case, this is no joke. The government actually told her, well, can you go in there and at least hold her hand and help her sign it?
Really?
Yes. So what good is it, right? What's the actual point? I mean, she's better off using that power of attorney because that power of attorney is sound in mind. So, it takes me back to this time I heard about these three contractors, and they were bidding to fix a broken fence at the White House. Now, one of these guys was from Chicago, another from Tennessee, and a third from Minnesota. And all three have gone to examine the fence, and the Minnesota contractor takes out his little tape measure, and he does some measuring, and then he works some figures with his pencil, and he says, I figure the job is going to run about $900, $400 for the materials, $400 for my crew, and $100 profit for me. The Tennessee contractor also does some measuring and figuring. He says, well, I think I can do this job for $700, $300 for the material, $300 for my crew, and $100 profit for me. The Chicago contractor doesn't measure or figure, but he leans over to the White House official and whispers, $2,700. The official, incredulity, said, you didn't even measure like the other guy. How did you come up with such a high figure? And the Chicago contractor whispers back, $1,000 for me, $1,000 for you. And we hire the guy from Tennessee to fix the fence. This is how the government is ran, right?
Right.
No matter which side of the aisle you sit on, we're all in agreement that our politicians are just full of it. So write them. Tell them this is crazy. This is absolutely nuts. And, it takes me back. There's a saying that goes around, what you don't know can't hurt you, what you always hear. Well, actually, I think Socrates had it a little closer. He said, you don't know what you don't know, and he left it at that. Because it's often those things that you don't know that actually end up biting you in the rear by the time it's all said and done. And, it took me, and I've heard stories, we get to hear from our clients when we share with stories with them, and we get to hear stories of things they have experienced. And one of the worst of all was a niece of an aunt that had come into our office, and we were, again, talking about the importance of these living legals. And she mentioned that her aunt had lived up in Wisconsin, and she had developed Alzheimer's disease. And really, no one knew it, because if you know Alzheimer's, right, then you know that it's sometimes the people that catch those types of things first are, people that are helping them with their bills or banking or financial advisors, not the family, because family just talks casual conversation. So she developed Alzheimer's disease. The family didn't know anything about it. And Wisconsin appointed a judge that had appointed this aunt's neighbor to act as her durable power of attorney and medical power of attorney, because she was always there for her and didn't even notify the extended family member. So after 2 years in this authoritative position, that neighbor had purchased a second home in North Carolina and a lot of other luxuries, and shrunk the estate of her aunt from over $2 million to less than $500,000 before they found out.
Wow.
Wow. Yes, wow is right. So when we say legal documents aren't just for dying, we mean it. And when we say you don't know what you don't know, and it's what you don't know that you don't know that could end up biting you or biting your family,
you mean
we mean it. So when we come back right here on Life Planning 101, we're going to get educated as far as what documents do you need, because obviously it's not as simple as you thought.
And segment 2, Life Planning 101, right here on KTX KDY. Angela has some great information about living documents.
Yes, this is right. We always think about legal documents. First thing that comes up when in people's minds, I guess depending if you're not a business owner and you're not thinking about if you need an entity. But most of the time, people shuffle in their head, my estate plan, my will, my trust, those types of things. So they forget that, yes, although those are important documents and they help avoid a lot of cost and a lot of time, they may not even be the most important documents, because what happens if you get hit by a bus and you're out of commission for 2 months and you don't have one of these documents? Who's going to be able to manage your finances for you and take care of things and make sure things are getting paid and that your credit doesn't get hurt or that something doesn't get repossessed? And a lot of people say, well, can't my spouse do that? Well, it depends. If their name is on those accounts, then yes, most likely, maybe not, depending on that title, okay, of the account, but not necessarily. The way I always explain this to people is like, have you ever called into your satellite TV provider and your spouse's name is on the account and they won't talk to you? No matter what, they won't talk to you. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. You're like, I'm the one that pays the bill. Why won't you talk to me? Because Brett Robinson's name is on the account. Okay. Okay. So I have to get Brett on the phone. It gives me permission to talk to him. Well, this is why. That's what that is that if you don't have your name on the account, you have to have that durable, I'm giving you the first one here, durable power of attorney in place. And actually, you can have a general power of attorney in place. Most attorneys will recommend a durable power of attorney for you. A general power of attorney is automatically withdrawn when you lose capacity. So durable stays in place. And that's extremely important for you to know. And it's critical. Now, going back to the conversation that we had earlier, it reminds me when I was a kid, I was scared of the dark. And then when I grew up, I got my first electricity bill. Now I'm scared of the light, right? So it's kind of like this with the government. It's so overwhelming that you don't even know what you don't know. You don't know what you should have. So here's what I would recommend. I would recommend making a list of every tie that you have to a government entity. So, for example, if you're a farmer and rancher and you receive payments for various agriculture grants or benefits, write down those entities in which you receive those grants. Because as we talked about this beginning of the show, the FSA, we found out, has their own power of attorney. And in fact, I will give you that form number. It is FSA-211. I looked it up to find out, yes, you do have to have it. They won't accept that durable power of attorney. Pretty crazy. What about your Social Security, your IRS? these are things that people don't think about. They think, well, I have no government ties. Well, if you're receiving Social Security or going to be receiving Social Security, yes, you do have a government tie. If you're not receiving Social Security, it's probably, or going to receive Social Security, it's probably because you're going to get railroad benefits, or you're going to get teachers' retirement, or state, county, government entities retirement. And because of those, same thing applies. Same thing. So whoever you're getting those retirement payments from, make sure that you're finding out what is the form that's available. And the reason this power of attorney is important, and I'll just kind of back up and give you a little personal story. This is when we started to figure out there was a real problem. My grandmother went into care, and she was down in Kerrville, Texas. And my mom had a big to-do with, helping keep all the finances in order and things during that time. Well, she was with a local bank down there. And we were going to change her bank because, obviously, we lived 3 hours away. Wouldn't it have been nice to have it in our town to be able to accommodate that a little easier since it was a local bank? So first things first, call the Social Security Administration to try to get the payment moved. Guess what? Can't do it.
Yeah.
Not even with that durable power of attorney. You got to be kidding me. Yes, this is accurate. So, you think that, oh, it's fine, I've got that durable power of attorney. Oh, why would I even need it? I mean, once my benefits are in place, it's not really like anybody needs to be contacting them. Well, it could be. And it's extremely important that you have that in place. So I've done a little bit of extracurricular, I guess you could say, for the show today, because I wanted people to know, and especially with the Social Security power of attorney, it's not just as simple as get your Social Security power of attorney. There's actually like 3 or 4. So you start looking through the list, you're like, well, which one of these do I need? And it took us a while to decipher. We actually called the Social Security Administration, did the research on it, and the one that you're looking for is what's called an advanced designation of representative payee. Again, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Advanced designation of representative payee. So this designation, it actually allows you to designate up to 3 people who could serve as a representative payee for you if the need were to arise. So that's if you became incapable to manage or direct others to manage things on your behalf, so that they could make sure that you're getting the benefits where you want that, and you have someone trusted, that you trust to be able to do that. So the other thing is you'll actually get every year, they'll send out a form that shows you who that designee is for you. And you can obviously withdraw that at any time or replace that person. And you can submit it various ways, so there's no easy way. Again, we're dealing with government here. But if you're applying for benefits, my recommendation to you is do it as the time you apply for your benefits. You can also do it through electronic submission if you've got a Social Security account. You can actually go in and submit it. And again, you're looking for that advanced designation of representative payee. You can do it by telephone or in person or in writing or however you want. But it's extremely important. And I say this is even more critical for those people that are not married. You're on your own, and someone else would be that durable power of attorney for you, because most likely you would need bank accounts changed and things like that. So, again, what you don't know is the things that will hurt you. IRS, let's talk about that for a second, because this is one that most everybody deals with, and it's extremely important as well. So the IRS is a little less confusing from the Social Security Department. They've only got 2 forms rather than a bunch. So there's 2 that are really important, and I encourage people to speak with their tax professional that's actually filing your taxes about both of these. So there's a form that allows people to be like a representative for you with the IRS. And they can talk to the IRS, they can deal with the IRS on any matters. And then there is a form to allow someone just to receive information from the IRS. Okay, so this is where it becomes really incumbent to talk to a tax professional. I mean, most likely what they're going to tell you, what we've been seeing, is that the form to actually talk to the IRS and act as you probably needs to be that tax professional in most cases. The form to receive information may be the same person as your durable power of attorney. So it's really important that you talk to your tax professional. The other thing is, this is crazy. After 7 years, if you haven't already ended this authorization, the IRS is going to automatically end it for you. So my question is always this: what if someone has a cognitive disorder for longer than 7 years? I guess they're going to have a real problem with this. So when I say this this whole radio show today is twofold, I mean it. We're not just giving you the information. Write your congressman about this. This is absolutely crazy. In fact, you know what I'm going to do for all of our listeners? We're actually going to put out a format letter that you can use to send it out to your congressman, because this needs to be an issue that's brought up. It's just not reasonable. And this is too important of a thing to not be reasonable. So we're going to have more on legal documents that aren't just for dying when we come back right here on Life Planning 101.
Final segment, Life Planning 101, right here on KTX, KWY. Angela?
Yes, living legals and how important they are. And if you've missed the first part of the show, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to this again. We're airing, of course, on Saturday morning. You can also find us on basically any podcast out there, iHeartRadio, iTunes, any of them. Just Google Life Planning 101 and we'll pop up. But this is way too important for everybody, because everybody's tied to the government one way or another. And we mentioned how a durable power of attorney does not cover the things that you think it covers. And also the importance of being able to write your congressmen and your representatives on this matter, because it's really important. But I want to switch gears on these living legals for a second. I want to talk about another story. And this was a story that I was actually telling, the story about the lady in Wisconsin that her neighbor took her for what she had. And she gave me another story. She said she had a family member that had the same type of situation with her grandmother, except she was after 16 months of life support. One of her aunts was actually named by the court to take care of everything, and decided for the mother that she wouldn't want to live like that, and told the doctors to end it. Well, the daughters weren't involved, and they wanted to keep the mother alive, and it was in court over it during this whole time. For the whole 16 months, they sat there and fought. And the mother ended up dying of pneumonia before the court could reach a decision. But here we are sitting here, I don't know, it's been 10, 12 years since this event, and those two sisters still aren't speaking today.
Wow.
Yeah, so, we always talk about having good Christmases and Thanksgivings after you're gone, and maybe even while you're still alive. And, I was having a very somber conversation about this a couple weeks ago with some people in their 60s, and they were, they're young, they're healthy, and they don't know what they don't know. And they're thinking, well, if I end up, putting DNR on my form, I'm still young, I still recover from that well, and that is true. There's a lot of literature and research behind that we've read, and then the older you get, the harder that becomes to have any quality of life after something like that happens. And, what is that cutoff point? What shouldn't be done? What needs to be done? And those are some heavy conversations. And I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all. And I think it's a conversation that you need to have with God, a conversation you need to have with your spouse, and definitely your children, all at the same time once you do make the decision. It might be a conversation to have with your minister or your, whoever it is your spiritual leader in faith, or, your doctors or whatever. And what I find about doctors today, and I don't know if it's because there's just so many lawsuits out there, or I don't know. I don't know what's happened, but it's changed. When we were in the hospital with my grandfather, they should have just came out and said he's not going to have any quality of life. And they never did that. And it was very disappointing, because that's what a doctor should do, is tell us the truth right from the get-go. And, I think it's really important that you have those hard conversations with your doctor, that I want the straight-up truth. With my health conditions, with what I've got going on, if something happened to me, what would my quality of life be like? And really have those serious conversations, because the more you can plan for your family, the better you're going to leave your family. The more you leave in the hands of your family, the more risk you take.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and that's a tough one. So let's talk about these two documents that are so critical. And yes, there are two. A lot of people don't realize this. They think that pulling the plug, and technically I guess there's three if you count the do not resuscitate, the DNR. But, you know, a lot of people think there's just one. They just need that living will, that directive to physicians, which is the situation we're talking about with this mother that, you know, is where she's supposed to be taking off life support. And, you know, we've seen it, too, where that clause is read that you had to have two doctors' opinions, and we've watched a family suffer because they waited another 6 months for a second opinion that came out just to be the same. So I don't think there's a perfect answer. I think it's really something that you have to put a lot of thought to, but you need to have it, and your kids need you to have it. And more importantly, they need you to have the document and then to tell them all at the same time, not separately, not in different places. They need to hear you say at the same time what your wishes are. And let's talk about the second document, the medical power of attorney. So this is what people don't realize. This really has nothing to do with the living will unless you couple them, unless you make it the medical powers of attorney's decision to enact that living will literature. So that medical power of attorney is just someone that can make medical decisions for you in the event of capacity. So again, you get hit by that Mack truck, you end up just fine, but who's going to tell the doctors, okay, you've given me two options for surgery, who's going to give them the go-ahead on that? And, you know, a lot of people, I think when they name these people, especially like the durables and medicals and all these people, they just start going from their oldest kid down. And that's not always the logical thing to do, because your oldest kid may not be the most emotionally stable child that you have. In fact, none of your children may be emotionally stable enough to make those kind of decisions for you. Also, you have to think about location. I mean, where are you spending your time? Where do you live? You know, is that power of attorney someone that is close to you and could be there quickly? We've seen that happen. We actually had someone had a power of attorney for their daughter that lived in Seattle, and she couldn't get there in time to make medical decisions. And thank goodness there was a backup medical power of attorney on there that was local.
Right.
So it's really important to think about that. I mean, if you have two homes, you probably want to have a medical power of attorney in each of those locations. You know, alternate and a first alternate or second alternate. So, but that's someone that could make those decisions for you. And we just forget how important those documents are. So I told you it's going to be a mouthful, right? There's so much information out there. And if you choose to stay in the dark about it, if you choose to be under the mantra that what you don't know can't hurt you, unfortunately, in today's world, you or your family could end up getting hurt for it. You know, it doesn't take, you know, much time, much effort at all to make sure that you get these living legals in order. Just do it. Make it a priority and make sure that what your family has as, you know, their relationship is kept solid, and what you need to be able to take care of you if something does go wrong is taken care of to keep solid. So kind of recap your list. Make a list of all the government agencies that you're attached to and make sure you're using the proper forms for them. And get that durable power of attorney, that medical power of attorney, and that directive to physicians, DNR, if you so wish. Those are really important. And most of all, have this critical conversations with your family on what needs to be done. My name is Angela Robinson with Kennedy Financial Services in the great town of Eastland, Texas. God bless everyone. We pray for you each and every week to stay healthy and happy during these unprecedented times, and may we end out 2020 a great year.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and KWBY, and again on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on KATX and KWBY for more Life Planning 101.
Advisory services offered through Smart Money Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Kennedy Financial Services Incorporated is an independent of Calton & Associates Incorporated and Smart Money Group, LLC.